Welcome to another episode of Curtain Call Conversations. I'm here today, well, a returnee to my channel. Yes, it's Debbie Isitt. I am so excited to be chatting to you again, this time about Military Wives, the musical. How are you today?
I'm really good, Emma, and thanks for asking me back. It's
Oh,
lovely
you're
to talk
very
to
welcome. Yeah,
you.
you're very welcome. I mean, let's start with the last time we spoke. We were talking about I Should Be So Lucky, the musical. So we've got to talk about that before we get on to Military Wives. I mean, I just adored it, Debbie. I just thought it was brilliant. It was so fun. It was so camp. It was so just everything I wanted it to be. So how was the whole run for you?
We had an incredible time. We really did. You know yourself because you came to see it. The audience
Yes.
was pretty wild. Every show we had a lot of interaction from the audience, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
And the music, I think, just took people back
Yeah.
to a particular time. And we actually got some young people in as well that I was quite surprised to see, just because it wasn't their era music
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah.
But I think it was the fact that it was so fun and feel good, and it was about a family, and people could relate to it. So it resonated a lot with the audiences up and down the country, really. And yeah, we just had some amazing nights at the theatre where you just
Yeah.
felt the electricity surging towards the stage and back. It was high energy and great company, great cast, and of course those fabulous songs. And Kylie, I mean,
Right, and
you know,
Kylie, I mean, you can't forget Kylie. Goodness me. I mean, we did speak about that the last time when she sort of burst into your rehearsal room, which just, I mean, it must have been just brilliant. I would imagine from start to finish that experience. And I'm sure did she come see the show at all? Did she ever
well,
get
she
to see
couldn't.
it?
She was doing her Vegas residency at
Uh,
the time, all through it, and
oh,
but she did message us, and her
oh,
management came to see it and loved it. Thank
oh,
goodness.
wow.
And yeah, I mean, if it comes back again, I know she'll be there.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? I mean, I know sort of the couple of times that I went, I saw it in Manchester where you opened, and then back in Birmingham, which is obviously my hometown. And of course, Pete Waterman was there like both times, and I'm sure the other chappies from Stockcake in Waterman, they must have just loved every single second of it.
I know Pete was he was almost as bad as me. I mean, I kept going to watch it as well. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't have to keep watching it,
yeah,
kind of once it's up, I am allowed to leave. But it
yeah,
was just a buzz, and I think Pete felt that as well. And often he would get quite emotional and cry a lot of the time because for him, writing these songs, co-writing the songs, it was just such a moving experience. And yes,
yeah,
the others came intermittently too.
yeah.
I think everyone was really proud of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was joyous. So fingers crossed, I won't hold you to it, but fingers crossed for a return at some point. That would be
Yeah.
fantastic. So let's just talk about Military Wives. Now, this is opening at York Theatre Royal from the 16th of September. That's the only location at the moment, but again, fingers crossed that it travels and more people get to see it because this is a true story. I mean, people will know of the story of the Military Wives Choir. And then, of course, there was the film. So, what inspired you to write a musical about this particular story?
I mean, I really loved the initial Gareth Malone
Hmm.
documentaries. They
Yes.
were about this story about the military wives who were left alone to cope when the men or their partners or husbands went off to Afghanistan,
Yeah.
and they were very isolated and didn't really know each other very well because they move around a lot in the military, and so they don't really make very close connections often because they think, oh, I'm going to be moving on, so what's the
Yeah.
point?
Mm.
Um, and Gareth Malone came in and started this choir, which of course we all know any choir, brings people together. And the women made friends, and I just remember how moving it was that they were really transformed by this experience. I remember my mum loving it and going, "Have you seen this thing, The Military Wives?" And then
Yeah.
they brought out that beautiful song, and it
Yes.
became number one. And
Yes.
it was a big journey for them all. And I think anything
Mm.
where there's a big emotional journey is always really important to me. And I always think, well, that's a story worth telling, and because you can take the audience with you on an emotional
Mm.
journey.
Yeah.
And then the film came out, and that came out just as COVID happened.
Yeah.
So it didn't get the big cinema release it was meant to get. It went straight to the streamer. I think it's
Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah.
But I did watch it because I was so curious about it. And I thought it was such a beautiful film as well. And, I'd always wanted to do this story, bring this story to the stage. And it sort of happened that the film producers were looking at doing that, and some theatre producers as well. And that sort of we got together and decided to do its own theatre piece. So it's a bit of a combination, a little bit from the film, a little bit from Gareth Malone, and quite a lot that's kind of unique to this own new story. So yeah, but it is all based on truth and reality. And we were very lucky that I was able to go and do some research with the Bicester military wives, which was fantastic. And some of the members of the choir came to our workshop showings, and we will hopefully continue to work with them as we bring it fully fledged to the stage now, because we just want that authenticity, and for it to be reflective of the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. So with regards to sort of the music in your musical, I mean, is it sort of songs that we're all going to be very familiar with? Is there original stuff or?
It is songs we're going to be
Yeah.
familiar with.
Yeah.
It's a funny one because it's not a traditional jukebox musical. It's not I
No.
Should Be So Lucky. If you like,
Yeah.
it's because of the way the songs are used. Obviously, they sing the songs as part of the choir, but
Sure.
they also go off into musical theatre, flights of fancy, to sing about their own emotional states and lives.
Yeah.
So it's a hybrid, and we were lucky that we've, had a lot of music to choose from.
Yeah.
And so myself and George Dyer, who's the brilliant music supervisor that I've worked with a lot, on Nativity, on I Should Be So Lucky, on this.
Yeah.
Together we came up with the song choices, and I think people will know a lot of these songs, but they will have a completely different meaning because different context.
Yeah. Sure.
It's quite powerful at times and quite fun in other times. And this is the thing, being me, Emma, and because you know my work quite well,
I do.
I couldn't really make a piece of work that didn't have a lot of humor in it.
Yes.
Because to me that is life. I mean, no
Yeah.
matter how dire the situations, you laugh, you cry, don't you?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
And so there's a lot of feel good music in it too, a lot of comedy in the script, and it's ultimately a very uplifting show. And that was really important to me, because I was like, I can't go and watch something that's very bleak or very depressing, because it doesn't
No.
it doesn't help me. It doesn't
No, you
help
don't want
me.
to come out of the theatre feeling depressed, do you? I mean,
Exactly.
it's
I mean,
meant to be uplifting.
exactly. So you don't mind having, like the real drama and the tension and sadness, but it
Yeah.
has to ultimately be an empowering and uplifting experience. So what I'm really excited about is that I feel like that's where we got to with this in the workshop. So we're so excited to sort of bring it to the stage now and meet an
Sure.
audience properly.
Yeah. So you're through sort of the workshop stage.
Yeah.
So at what point do you think about casting this? I mean, have you already got people in mind? Have you already, made those calls, or is it a bit early yet?
It's about now,
Okay.
and and obviously, because I did 2 workshops over the course
Okay.
of just over a year, and the way I work is very, I work without scripts. I always use improvisation, and I sort of paint as I go, the structure and the characters, and build everything on its feet.
Yeah.
So the actors that I use, contribute a lot, and they're very they feel like they own the characters and the piece. And I make all my work this way, film and theatre.
Yeah.
And so, my first thing is to always want to carry those people with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, sometimes they're not available.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
So it'll be a mixture, I think,
Mm.
of people that originated the work through the workshops, and
Mhm.
some people that we cast new. But it's just happening right now. So
Oh,
just started,
exciting,
yeah. Yeah.
exciting times. So talk me through sort of the workshop process. I mean, who do you have in the room at that point?
Yeah, well, it's it's obviously the actors,
Yeah.
primarily me, the musical director supervisor, which in this occasion was George Dyer,
Yeah.
a movement person that may or may not carry on with the project, but someone
Yeah.
that's there to sort of keep an eye on that side of things.
Yeah.
And maybe one stage management member, you know,
Okay.
that's it. So it's quite an intimate, almost secret
Yeah, I was going
kind
to
of
say, is it like
process.
a closed door thing? Like you don't get any sort of theatre-y, criticky people in at that stage?
No, not
No.
usually. I
Mm.
mean, you know, it's not something I'd be averse to, because we always do a showing at the end
Mm.
for the producers and
Yeah.
for, you know, people want to invite people just so you can stand back and take a good look at it and have some audience reaction. And it's
Yeah.
not something I would, you know, be adverse to, but generally speaking, you keep the workshop as under wraps as possible, just because I suppose
Mm.
everyone's a bit vulnerable and you don't quite know what you've got.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah,
you
that's
know, so you
true.
sort of try and protect the work and the people as much
Mm.
as you can, and make a very safe space for everyone, so that people are free to take risks and
Mm.
try things and fail, because that's what workshopping is. It's like, let's have a go at this, or let's try a scene where this happens, and
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't work, you know, and
Yeah,
so
of
you go,
course.
oh, go back to the beginning and try again.
Yeah.
And you sort of building blocks and moving things around and editing. Really, for me, a lot of it's an editing process.
Mm.
Until I think, oh my goodness, they're all coming in the day after tomorrow. I'm going to have to now work the ending out in
Yeah.
like 5 minutes flat, you know. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's the way, because sometimes the best ideas come, like you'd know yourself, writing last minute, you know,
Yeah.
because you've got a deadline, because the pressure's there, and you just have to, suddenly the idea just has to happen and it has to
Mm.
work. And that can
Yeah.
be really exciting. So I love workshopping. I think it's a brilliant thing to do. And it really tells you a lot, you know, because sitting writing on my own, I can do that. I have done that over the years, but it's not as exciting as making it stand up on its feet and just playing, making a playground, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
with human beings, which
Yeah.
in the end is what theatre is. It's a
Yeah.
playground with human beings, not a piece of paper, you
No,
know.
no.
So yeah, so I love working this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting just to see that vision, appear in front of you, sort of with human beings, as you said. I mean, you mentioned there sort of the improvisation that you enjoy with your shows. I mean, how much of it do you sort of not allow? I suppose that's the wrong word, but sort of in a show, there has to be some structure. Obviously, you can't just let people go on the stage and do whatever they like. So, how much sort of as a percentage would you say each show would be improvised?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, there's the whole story, the structure, the content of the scenes is me.
Mm,
Like, I know. So I mean, I could write that all out.
yeah.
Where the improv comes in isn't like what happens.
Mm,
It's how things happen. It's
right.
what's said. So it's like, rather than me say, um, oh, I don't know, you've just heard the news that your husband's missing in action.
Mm,
I can say, this is what you say,
mm,
or I can say, let's give that a go
yeah.
and see what happens,
What would
and
you
just
say? Yeah.
let the actor. So we're talking about moments and kind of, because in theatre and in plays, and in films, it's not the text that
Mm,
we're really engaging with, it's the subtext. So it's what's going on under the words. So if
mm,
you really believe in that, which I do,
yeah.
then the words are secondary to what's actually happening and what people are actually feeling and what
Yeah.
they want to achieve and what's going on.
Mm,
So making sure that the actors know exactly what's happening
yeah.
to
Sure.
them and in the story means that the words, like any
Mm,
words, work. You can't
yeah.
really fail, Rob, if you know what it is you're going for, what it is you're
Exactly.
trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So obviously, because it's comedy as well, sometimes we have to work more particularly on the words. So sometimes, I have to give them lines that I know are going to land
Yeah.
jokes. And
Yeah.
sometimes they come up with jokes that are so great that I
Mm.
couldn't have written them. So it's an exchange. But nobody goes on stage free. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone knows exactly what they have to do.
Yeah.
Imagine, I mean, we could be there all night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it made the show completely different every night, I guess. But
But they are allowed to swap their jokes, and if they think
okay.
funny, I think they can do that. Or if I'm really up for them, kind of, if they think, one night they give them a kiss and the other night they decide to give them a hug, or they decide, do whatever you feel is truthful.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
you should have a level of freedom as an actor to own a role. Otherwise, it's like painting by numbers. It's like, find your line, say your line,
Yeah,
don't
it's a
bump
bit
into the
robotic.
bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it can be. For
Mm,
me, I like a bit more excitement, and I like to be surprised myself. So I
yeah.
like to give them that freedom, and they love that freedom because they're all intelligent, brilliant, experienced people. Like, they
Yeah.
can do it, and so it's a collaboration in that sense. But it's really fun, and it keeps, particularly for comedy, it just keeps things a bit more alive,
Yeah.
lively and riskier, and yeah.
Mm, yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's great that you give, performers that opportunity to sort of be expressive and not just be that robot that just says lines and what have you. I think it's fantastic. I mean, I suppose we also need to chat about Nativity because every time I see you or chat to you, I just think, it's just the best thing ever at Christmas. You are, the queen of that. So, have we got anything to tell us about Nativity at all, or is there anything in the pipeline, or
Well,
just trying to get some goss?
I know. I mean, I mean, the goss is that I can't say because it's not 100%, but I think it's quite likely to be coming back this year,
At the stage show.
um,
Oh, amazing.
the stage show, and then another film is in the pipeline. So we have one more film and the stage show coming back. But I can't say more than that because
No.
that's where we are at the minute. But yeah,
We will talk.
definitely,
Well, we will
definitely
definitely.
the world of nativity is still sparkling away, sparkling
Yes,
and
sparkling and shining. We'll definitely be talking about that very soon, I'm sure. But thanks for having a great chat with me. It's always lovely to have you, because I just love your work, as you very well know. So thank you so much for taking the time. If I can get to York to see this, I'm absolutely coming. As I said, it opens on the 16th of September, running through to the 27th. So I'm sure we'll chat in between that happening, and we'll get some casting news and what have you. So wishing you all the very, very best with it.
thanks, Emma, and thanks for being such a brilliant support to all musical theatre. It's so
Oh,
important to have people like you
you're
championing
very welcome.
the
You're
art.
very
Thank you.
welcome. You're very welcome. So take care and I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, thanks, Emma.
All
Bye bye.
right. Bye bye.